Hey, what's happening, everybody? Hope you guys are having a good day. I'm gonna give you guys time to come into the chat. I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School, and I want to say hello to everybody on drboycetv.com. This is the home for intelligent Black people. If you're not Black and intelligent, you may want to leave because you're not gonna enjoy this conversation. Because we try to go to the next level. We play chess, not checkers, and we like to keep it Black and intelligent all the time. And today, my special guest, the person I get to speak with, it's an honor and a pleasure to have on Miss Danielle Pierce. Danielle is the CEO and founder of economicelevation.com. She's also a real estate expert who just knows a whole lot of stuff about a whole lot of stuff. And so I want to ask my friend Danielle, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. I have a little bit of a cold before anybody starts commenting about why I'm sniffling the whole video, but I'm pretty good outside of that.
Oh, don't worry. The snotty ass comments will definitely be coming. It always happens. It's the internet. You know, the internet is built that way. People just love to be nasty on the internet. But don't be nasty to Danielle. I'm gonna have to put you out of here. But
Man, it's too
anyway,
late. It's too
I know,
late.
right? Well, I want to say hi to some of you who just came in. I see Karen Simmons and Marshall Jean are watching on Financial Juneteenth, our Facebook page. So if you're on Facebook, if you could share this to your Facebook page, we'd appreciate it. If you're on YouTube, if you can hit the thumbs up button and the notification bell, we'd appreciate that as well. So let's jump into the conversation. So Danielle, did you hear Beyonce's sister Solange
Yes.
is getting a divorce from her husband, Alan Ferguson.
Yes.
Alan is, I guess now he's 57 years old. He was 52 when they first got married, and she was 27. I thought that was strange. I did not predict that marriage was going to last, and it wasn't because I was trying to do like chatty patty gossip, but it was because I just don't, I think this is just in general, marriages like that don't even make a whole lot of sense to me. With 25-year age difference, like it doesn't mean it can't last. It's happened, right? But I
Yeah.
felt a little awkward about it. Let's just start with your opinion on just the general idea. What did you think about that? Just all that, if you thought anything at all.
So I did hear about it today. I heard about it actually picking the kids up about a couple hours ago. I heard it on the radio, and I didn't know that her husband was that much older than she is. But in general, I am not the biggest fan of those super large age gaps. Um, I don't know. I know people say everybody's grown. You could do what you want if they're over 21, but it's like, I mean, that's true to a certain extent. But I just am, I think that there's some other things, some underlying issues that probably need to be addressed when you can only deal with folks who are like, 15, 20 years younger than you or older than you.
Yeah,
It's my 2 cents.
I'm gonna tell you this. I think that somebody that marries someone that's that much older than them, usually that kind of screams daddy issues. Like, if you pick a man that's the same, that's old enough to be your father or almost your grandfather in his case. Because my father was 17 years older than me. My father actually, my biological father just passed. And yeah, I think he was, yeah, I think he's 17, 18 years older than me. Right. And, and so 25 years as a gap, that's more than that's like a father that was in his 20s when he gave birth to you, right? And to me, I didn't disconnect that from the fact that her actual father, Matthew Knowles, kind of got separated from the family a few years ago, and that was kind of crazy, weird, and dramatic, and became a thing. Do you think that those two are connected at all, or what are your thoughts?
Wait, isn't Matthew? Doesn't he have a young girlfriend too, with some new babies on the way as well?
Oh yeah, Matthew. Matthew got himself in a whole lot of trouble there. He had baby daddy drama, and he was too old to be having all that. I mean, he was
Yeah. And Matt,
yeah,
I think he also has breast cancer too, or something. Now I saw not
yeah.
too long ago.
Kind of
Um,
sorry to hear that.
so you said what was the question again? I'm sorry, I forgot. My
Uh, what do you think? I mean, do you think that it usually relates to some sort of mommy or daddy issue? With
Oh, yeah, you know what? I do. And I've shared this story a couple times before. So for those of you who have heard it, you just come about to hear it again. But for those of you who have not, so my mother, she's still living, but was actually 20 years younger than my father. My father is deceased. He died back in like 95, but it gets better. So they met when she was a senior in high school. So she was 17 going on 18, which would have put him at 37. He was 38 at the time. And so I definitely think it was daddy issues. I can't really say, this is gonna sound bad. I can't really say a whole lot of, I think I can remember like two good things that my father did during my
Mm.
whole life. But I know for sure that for my mother, it was daddy issues and trying to get away from my grandma. My grandma's very old school, very strict. Very, you gonna do what I say, you gonna get the hell out. And my mother was the oldest, and my grandmother had 9 children. My mother still doesn't know who her father is because my grandmother won't say. But
Wow.
she was kind of raising all the other kids. So she was like, she was tired of raising kids. She was tired of dealing with my grandmother. And then my father comes along, older man, sweet talking, dark skin, wavy hair, and shit. That was it.
Well, I think that it's not that anybody can really speculate on what drew those two, together, and nor am I going to try to do that because this is not about, gossiping about somebody's divorce. I mean, I don't wish that on anybody, and I'm sorry that it happened, but I do think that there's something interesting here in the sense that when you're talking about marriage, divorce, and all that stuff, you're really talking about something that is that's really a business situation in a way. Like
Yes.
a marriage is like doing a business contract with somebody. And so when you are Solange Knowles and you're worth, at least at least tens of millions of dollars, or at least a few million, right? Because
Right.
her sister, just
You
whatever,
said by default she got to be worth a few $1,000,000, Dr.
whatever,
Boy.
whatever. I mean, she could literally get crumbs, or Beyonce's crumbs, and still be worth, 20 million, 30 million, right?
Right.
You're talking about a financial, a lot of financial considerations and something like that. And divorce is super expensive and it's really difficult. And I can't help but wonder if, you know, in a marriage like that, I think to some extent, I almost wonder. It makes me sad. I'll say this: it makes me sad that I see celebrity marriages, and when it happens, I'll think that ain't gonna work. And most of the time I'm right. Most of the time I'm right. And it makes me sad to say that. But the reason I feel that way a lot of times is not, Alicia thinks I'm a pessimist, but that's not it. It's really that I'm sitting here doing the math, right? And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, you're 27, he's 52. In 10
Yeah.
years, you'll be 37, he'll be 62. When you're 37, how will you feel about being married to a 62-year-old man? Now,
Yeah.
I think women can stomach it a little bit more than men. But when men do it, I know it ain't gonna work. I knew a guy who was 27. He met this hot 42, 41, 42-year-old woman. They got together. He had the whole thing where that led him to want that mother figure in his life because she was like a mentor for him. But
Okay.
it's like I was like, okay, so what is this? What is this? What is this? Like, what's happening now? Are we living in the moment, or are you like really
Yeah.
planning a future with this person? If
Yeah.
so, just add numbers. Like, so you're 27. When you're 37, she's 52. How do you feel about that? When you're 47, she's 62. I'm a little over 47. I don't think I'd want to be married to a woman that's 62. No
Yeah.
disrespect. I mean, I'm sure there's beautiful 62-year-olds out there, but
Mm.
in order for me to appreciate a 62-year-old woman, I would have to be 62 years old myself. You know what I mean? I'm sure when I'm 62 years old, I will say, damn, that is a hot 62-year-old woman. I'm not there yet, right? And so it's like I almost think that sometimes with marriage, we got to the point where marriage is no longer we're going to do this till death do us part kind of concept. It's like we're going to do this right now and then see how things work out. I don't know. What do you think?
I That makes perfect sense, Dr. Boyce, actually, because I was reading something, her response or her whatever she put out on Instagram, and basically, Solange is very much so one of those free spirit, loving and universal vibe type of personalities, which I think is wonderful. But I do think that now that you pointed it out, that she probably did enter the relationship thinking that things were great. Now she said he was a phenomenal man, so I mean that's always good to read or to hear about. She said he was a phenomenal brother, and I think that she did just say, okay, well, if this doesn't work, then we'll just figure it out after the fact. I definitely think people are not getting married with the idea that till death do us part. I think you just nailed it right there.
Hmm. Okay. Well, by the way, in case you're wondering what we're talking about, I'm speaking with Danielle Pierce from economicelevation.com, and we're talking about love, life, money, and marriage, and all the things that tie together. And the specific case that brought us together was this divorce with Solange Knowles and her husband, Alan Ferguson, ex-husband to be. And the goal is not so much to talk about what happened here. I mean, celebrities get divorced all the time. It's really talking about, life choices and why we choose certain people to be our mates, and how these things kind of go down. Now, typically, I'm gonna say this. I'll say this. Does anybody give me a yes or no? Yes or no if you read this? Did anybody see can anybody guess who Kamala Harris dated when she was 29, 30 years old? See if you can guess, or give me a yes or no if you heard anything about it. Who did Kamala Harris date when she was 30 years old? Can anybody tell me? Let me see. I'm gonna Google it so I can. Let me see here. Okay, all right, I'm gonna give you guys time to answer the question. Let's see here. All right, let's see. There we go. Willie Brown. Okay, so I see Tony says no. Natoya got it right. Natoya says Willie Brown. Amanda says Willie Brown. Now, does anybody remember how old Willie Brown was? Willie Brown was, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was 62 at the time they dated, and she was like 29 or maybe 30. And now here's the thing. That didn't do well in terms of her professional reputation. Like what it did was, it didn't make people think that she wasn't smart or qualified. It made people feel that she kind of found her way to the front of the line, that she worked her way to the front of the line, using these other methods. And so I'd be curious to know, when you see that, when you see the Kamala Harris situation, how do you feel about that? I mean, when you see a young woman that dates an older man and you see her career advance as a result of that, some people see that as something that you're just supposed to do, that you're supposed to marry a man that can help you make a come up, that is supposed to add to your life, right? Even in a dramatic way. And some people say that you're kind of cheating, like this is not real love. This is something different, but it's not love. It's more of an arrangement. What are your thoughts on that?
So I do think that marriage should advance you. I think marriage should advance you financially. I think marriage should advance you spiritually. I think marriage should advance you emotionally. So I don't necessarily see that there's anything wrong with it. I mean, the age gap, I'm not a fan of. Like, I wouldn't do it, and I for sure wouldn't want my daughters to do it, just because um, I think it gives the relationship a different type of flavor. I really think it's more so like mentor mentee versus husband and wife. But then again, to your earlier point, maybe she did just approach the marriage as a business transaction, which it is. I mean, it really is. Dr. Boyce, I mentioned, well, I don't know, we haven't talked about it recently, but I got divorced last year. And long story short, once there's children involved, when you have a divorce, you kind of turn over custody somewhat to the state. Meaning, like, if I go in there and I say, okay, I don't want to do child support, we're gonna work it out ourselves, they don't let you do that. Like, that's literally off the table. They say, oh, we're gonna make you, do X, Y, and Z. Like, this is not going to be acceptable to the court. So you lose a lot of your autonomy in getting married and having children. So I think that maybe Kamala just approached it as a business situation or business relationship, and she kept it moving. So I don't know. I can't necessarily say that she cheated. I think she's bright. She's intelligent. I think she just she did what she saw other people doing, maybe.
Well, my thought on that, I can't judge how somebody chooses to love, right? And what they choose to do with their lives, right? But I think that what kind of gets to me when I see a relationship that's that blatant, it's almost like the difference between a gold digger and a prostitute, right?
No, explain.
Okay. And I'm not saying Kamala Harris is a gold digger or a prostitute. You can make that decision on your own. But a gold digger might be somebody who says, "Oh, he has money. I'm attracted to a man with money." And then you might have other women that are attracted to men with money who we wouldn't call gold diggers. They just happen to want to date the man who's the surgeon or the business owner or the lawyer, right? But they're not blatant about it, right? But then you got the real extreme, which is the prostitute who says, "Give me money, I'll give you sex. I care nothing about you." So it's almost like you have this continuum, right? Where you've got on this end, you've got the women that say, or people, not just women, but the people who say, "I love you and I respect and appreciate the fact that you're doing well for yourself. Like, I think that's cool." Then on the other end, you've got the women or people in general who might say, "I don't love you at all. In fact, if you had no money, I would not give zero shits about you. I just like what you have and I like what you can do for me and I need you to do it for me right now." in a very clear and unambiguous way, almost to the point of signing a contract or me swiping a credit card, right? You know, and I think that it's all kind of in the same space, but it's about how blatant it is, I think, right? So I think that with Kamala Harris, let's say Kamala was 29 and she met a guy who was 39, and the guy happened to be a power broker, big money guy, helped her out her career. It would make sense. People would be like, okay, like people could take that love seriously and say, okay, she might really love her, right? Or love him, excuse me. She might really be attracted to him. She might really have, you know, a plan to be with this man, you know, even if he were broke, right? But when you're with a 60-year-old, you know, when you're with somebody who literally went to high school with your granddaddy, right? You know, like you know, who listens to the same music as your parents' older siblings, right? It kind of just gets to the point where it's like, okay, this is ridiculous now. Like there's no way I can sit here and pretend in a million years that this is a real relationship. Okay.
So you're saying, if I understand you correctly, I see why Alicia called you a pessimist. Under no circumstances could she have desired to be with this 62-year-old man. Is that what you're going on record as saying, Dr.
I'm
Boyce?
not gonna say one way or the other. I'm gonna say that the relationship didn't last, and I knew it wouldn't last. I would bet every nickel in my bank account that shit wasn't gonna last because it was too obvious. It's like Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky. It's a notch above that. It's a notch off of Bill Clinton, Monica Lewinsky. That's what it is, right? The only difference is Monica didn't get a whole lot out of the deal except a stained dress, right? That's all Monica got was a stain on her dress that she could brag to Linda Tripp about. If y'all remember, y'all remember that? You know,
yeah.
So I think at least with Kamala, I give her props in the sense that, you know, I mean, to some extent, it's kind of refreshing where she's like, it seems like she just knew what it was. It was like, look, you know, there's no way on earth that a beautiful young woman like me would be chasing your old wrinkly ass if you were not the most powerful man in San Francisco and I wasn't trying to get somewhere, right? So let's go ahead and let's play this game. Let's do a pretend relationship. And I'll go tickle your balls, whatever you need me to do. And I'm sorry, I hope I'm not upsetting the children. You might have children around, right? But I might do what grown folks do for you to make you feel good, because that's what it is. The older men, they like the younger women. It makes them feel young. Think about that. You got all these old powerful men that go and they date the secretary or whatever, like that, like they really think that's gonna last. Some of them actually fall in love, and it becomes very sad when 5 years later when they're dumped again, right? But I think that there's actually something about that can actually be applauded, as long as everybody knows what it is. I think that's what matters, right? As long as everybody kind of understands, this is all that it is. Like, don't think that it's more. If you think it's more than that, then you're gonna get your feelings hurt. What do you think?
So here's the thing. You had mentioned something a couple minutes ago about when we were talking about Kamala, how you say her name? Kamala Harris. And it brought up to mind the whole conversation about how Black women and how we are taught to view marriage versus other races and ethnicities. And I gotta tell you, Dr. Boyce, I don't know of any other group of people who are kind of groomed to embrace marriage and expect to struggle, expect to be his peace, build your man up, stay by his side, let him cheat, let him work out his sow his wild oats, let him grow into being a husband and a father. I don't know of any other group that's necessarily taught that as much as we are. And then when we don't want to do it anymore, we finally wake up and realize, okay, well, I can't play mama and wife and stripper and do all these things at the same time. Then it's like, oh, you bogus, or you a gold digger, or like even a Black woman who says that I want a man who's financially stable. A lot of brothers get pissed when women say that. Like, I'm one of them, and I've seen the responses. They're like, oh, what you a gold digger? Oh, what you trying to say? Well, it's so weird, because I have daughters, and there's no way in hell I'm gonna say, well, please go ahead and marry the first dude that ask you for your hand in marriage, regardless of his financial situation, because that's just asinine and silly. But why? That's like the common rhetoric that is pushed out there constantly. So I do have an issue with that.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna tell you, I think that you're 100% correct. Like, I'm sorry, but from all the studies I've done, because you guys know I wrote a book called Financial Lovemaking. Like, so I've studied this extensively. And when I wrote that book, I used to get emails from women telling me horror stories about things that happen with men and all that. I mean, I picked up so much game from mostly talking to the women, because the women were the ones who seemed to just really be affected, almost traumatized by, financial irresponsibility on the part of the man. Like that was traumatic.
Black women, right? You're talking about Black women.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Black,
Primarily.
mostly Black. Yeah. These are Black women that wrote to me. But it's like men are funny. Men are like, well, she drug me through hell, but do you see her ass? Like men are stupid like that. Like we're funny, right? But women, like if you mess up the money, it's almost as bad, worse than almost any other thing a man could do wrong. And so that made me fascinated with this obsession, not obsession, but this desire for security. And I'm a believer that you have a right to want whatever you want. I don't think anybody should shame you out of the things that that you need in order to feel comfortable and to feel whole. And actually, studies show that Black women are more connected to financial security than white women, and largely because they grew up without the security they needed. Right?
Yeah.
You grow up poor, you're struggling. You're gonna want a man that's gonna help you get away from that, right?
Yeah.
So I think that what you're talking about in terms of that hard work, I believe that at least when I think about Alicia, who I'm marrying in July, she's a tough lady. She was raised by a tough mother who taught her to be a tough woman and to do all those things that you talk about as far as being his piece and being the mother and the wife and the stripper, whatever it is, right?
Yeah. How did it work out for her?
Right. Oh, what do you say?
How did it work out for her before you?
Well, you know what? I like to believe it's working out quite nicely for her with us. Why? Well, because I know that I have a set of tasks that I must perform as well, right? And I know that working hard is one thing if you're being rewarded for it, but it's another thing if you're working hard and you don't feel adequately compensated for your hard work, right? So if I'm trying to be all things to you and I'm busting my butt to be the best partner I can be, and you're inadequate in all the ways that matter to me, then yeah, I'm gonna get tired of it. Same way I would get tired if I had a job that worked me 100 hours a week and only paid me $50 a week. Now if you pay me $50,000 a week, I'll work for you all day. And that's what I find with relationships, right? That the amount of work that you're willing to do a lot of times comes down to how you feel you've been compensated or how much work they're willing to do. And so I don't think there's anything wrong at all. Like I personally, maybe I'm biased because I wanted to make money, so I studied money. Like I think that's what really for y'all for real. Like don't tell your kids the secret to financial success is to go to college. The secret to financial success is to study how money works, so you can go get it, right. So I'm not offended when a woman says financial security matters to her. I think that where you draw the line is if you get the impression that that's the only thing that matters, right? If that trumps everything, or I'm going to be manipulative to get access to your money, or I'm going to be deceptive to get access to your money. But so in a way, it's probably a little bit like sex, right? Like every woman knows that a healthy heterosexual man, he's trying to get in your drawers, right? At some point, he's going to ask you to take your clothes off, and and some sparks are going to fly, right? That's what he's eventually going to aim for. But there's a difference between a man who expects this to occur at some point as a natural part of the process versus a man who is trying to get you to do all that in the first 3 hours of knowing you, right? Or a man who's only obsessed with that and not willing to do all the other work necessary to make you happy. You see what I mean?
I agree with that. But yeah, to your point, I definitely think men need to be financially stable. As a matter of fact, I don't think men who are not financially stable make good partners or husbands. I think it bothers them. And we could, and I guess I'm starting to sound like no Malanga here. So shout out to my fellow Fly Nubian queen. And being, and going back to these quote unquote gender roles or traditional roles. But I do think that, we like to act like in the Black community, we act like money doesn't matter. Like, oh, money's not the most important thing. Oh, money ain't shit. You shouldn't be obsessed about money and blah, blah, blah. And I mean, you shouldn't obsess about it, but to act like it's not important is just silly to me. And I think that we do that to diminish the importance of a man being able to provide for his family. I was listening to Eric Thomas one time, and he said that when he paid off, he said, when I paid off the mortgage for the house that we live in, I saw a whole nother side of my wife. Period. He was like, sex was bomb, everything. I was just like, duh. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know how men don't know this. You know what I mean? Like when you are secure and comfortable, you know that you ain't gotta, that shit gonna get done, and you ain't gotta like remind nobody and nag and whine and do all the other stuff. Like you, I mean, things tend to balance themselves out. But a lot of men, for whatever reason, are offended by this whole conversation. I'm sure some in the comments right now probably going crazy. And so that's the situation we have with a lot of our relationships. But no, men need to men need to provide. And I think it elicits a sense of security that cannot be duplicated.
Well,
That's what I'll say.
let me ask everybody who's watching. By the way, I'm talking to Danielle Pierce from economicelevation.com. She also does a lot of great work on flynewbeingqueentv.com. If you want to learn from Danielle, she has a great class on how many ways to make an extra $2,000 a month.
It's like 35, but it might be up to 40 right now. It has really good reviews. There's plenty of them on the website. You can find them there at economicelevation.com. And then, of course, if you actually have, more money to invest, you could do tax lien investing, or you could start a business working with bank-owned properties, all of which I do in real life, not just teaching about it.
All right, and her website is economicelevation.com. That's economicelevation.com. Do me a favor real quick, please hit the thumbs up button, hit the share button, hit the subscribe button. If you're on Facebook, please share this to your page. Also hit that notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. And if you live in the Chicagoland area, I'm hosting a spades tournament on November 9th. So if you want to come out to Joliet and get your butt kicked at spades by me personally, I'm claiming it. I'm claiming the trophy.
Whose idea was this, Dr. Boyce? Because I saw that, I was like, spades? I was like, what's going on here?
Come on, yes or no? How many of y'all, anybody in here, anybody besides me go to college and play spades? Did you ever play spades, Danielle?
Yeah, I play spades.
Yeah, spades is, I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be stereotypical, but spades is fun. Like, I don't know a lot of white people that have as much fun as I do, but I had a blast playing spades in college. So I said, you know what? Let's have a spades tournament. Yeah, so that was my idea. So if you want to get a pass and you want to be a part of it, go to drboycechicago.com. That's drboycechicago.com. But anyway, but I hear what you're saying. I think that it's kind of we've had, because of some of the things that we've dealt with in our really almost ridiculous quest for integration. I think that not that all the integration was bad, but I don't think it helped us. One of them was mass incarceration, that epidemic, and the drug epidemic, and also this over dependence on white people to give us jobs. All these things undermine the black man. All these things kill the black man's ability to be a man and to do what a man's supposed to do, which is to provide for your family. And so what's occurred now is you have this weird, almost like where they, in The Economist, they actually analyze the black dating market the same way you would analyze the ecosystem of an animal in the mating patterns. And what they said is that basically for every 100 black women that are looking for a black husband, there's 51 black men who are employed or have an income at a level necessary for them to feel comfortable becoming a husband. Because I can tell you the truth, if I didn't have a job and I couldn't take care of myself financially, I couldn't be anybody's husband. It would not make me feel good. I would feel highly inadequate. I would just feel almost like I was stealing something, right? It's very weird. And so what my argument is when I'm talking to men is, when you talk about all the men that get mad when women say I expect a man to be able to provide, those men don't usually hang out on my channel. Those men don't hang out on my channel because I tell them,
they there.
They might be there, but they ain't there for long. The bitchy men, the bitchy men, they just sit over there and they just bitch. They're the same ones who thought I was simping because I got on my knee and proposed to Alicia in front of the whole world. That ain't simping. That's what a man's supposed to do. You're supposed to love a black woman and tell everybody how much you love and honor that woman. And so I think that what we have to do is, I think reclaiming manhood is really important for the community, and the women can play a part in this too, because some of you are raising a black man. You got to reclaim that manhood, and reclaiming manhood means, we know what paths do not work. We know that black men depending on white men to provide for us financially naturally puts us in a beta male position. Women are not attracted to beta males. They're not attracted to men who have to follow and get on their knees and lick the toes of another man in order to get ahead financially. And that's why I'm telling you, more important than sending your son to school and college and all that is to get your son trained on the three major pillars of wealth, which is stock and bond investing, real estate investing, and entrepreneurship. And then teach them how to get away from all of the really toxic behaviors that are constantly fed and preached to black men. Like the way you see these stupid athletes living with their money, and some of these stupid rappers throwing all their money away, like getting into dumb situations, making babies everywhere. Like black men that succeed have to know how to get away from that and rise above that. And it makes me very sad to say this, but if I consider myself a successful man, which I say that very humbly because I'm not trying to pretend like I'm better than anybody. Do you know, Danielle, that the number one factor that helped me to become a successful man, a successful black man, was to get away from black male culture, to get away from mainstream black male culture and create my own version of black male culture. That took a lot of insight, a lot of self-reflection. It took a lot of courage because I had a lot of men, again saying, "Oh, you simping, or you doing this? How come why aren't you gonna drink?" Like they be passing the bottle around, like, "Come on, nigga, drink. You a punk, nigga." I'm like, "Nah, you a fucking idiot, you dumbass. You gonna become an alcoholic just like your raggedy ass uncle." Like I was that type of guy, and I had to be that type of guy to say, "No, you're not going to pull me in those same traps where I go out here, get drunk, go do some dumb shit, end up in jail, end up getting some girl pregnant and catching diseases, end up throwing all my money away, end up stupid and uneducated and getting my ass kicked," right? So I think that we have to reinvent black male culture to create better black men. Women got their own issues, and we can talk about that. We talk about that on this channel a lot, but I think for men, that whole concept of man up, there are people that even resist the term man up. Like, "Oh, well, you should tell boys to man up." No, you should fucking tell them to man up because you live in a man's world. And if you don't man up, then you will get punked. I'm done talking. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I'm co-signing for pretty much just about all of that. You mentioned something interesting about black men depending upon white men in particular for jobs. And I remember I think I did a video on Cloud Me and Queen about that. Should black men stop begging for jobs? And it was prompted because I was reading this article. It's written by this black guy. It was about this black man, and he was just saying how he was just depressed and struggling, and he was having such a hard time, and these people wouldn't hire him, and he kept, kind of tucking his tail, kept making changes, all to no avail. He still couldn't get hired. I'm just like, well, damn, what makes you think that they're going to hire you or that they have an obligation to hire you? Like, why would they? Like, it's never worked that way. And so a lot of people, I got a lot of flack for that video as well from the brothers. They were like, well, everybody can't be a business owner. Well, shit, everybody ain't gonna get a job work for these white people neither. So everything is hard. So choose your heart, like choose the path that best that's going to give you the result that you're looking for. But it's all hard. But working somewhere where you're not appreciated, people act like they're scared of you, you're underpaid, probably overworked, and subject to all forms of racism, both overt and covert, every single day, year after year. Like, is that the move? Is that the winning plan? Everybody can be entrepreneurs, but more of us absolutely can be. Like, period. More of us absolutely can be. And I think more men in particular. A lot of brothers be like, "Oh, do you work with men?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I like the men are actually easier to work with than women. More men need to be entrepreneurs. Like, that's how you're gonna, make a shift and change things around. The job's not gonna do it."
No, it's not. It's not. I just think that the whole path that we're given, the path to success, it's a complete lie. And you're bred and brainwashed early to follow this path. And then so many of us follow the path and we end up disappointed. And the reason you're disappointed, it's not because you got unlucky or it was a one-off. This was a system. This was designed for you to fail, designed for you to be subjugated. The black man in America is designed or shaped by this society. You and I, right before we started talking, we were talking about how, you were talking about how you will not send your children to be educated by people who are not black. And I applauded you for that. And I think that's a wonderful thing because that's common sense. That's a mother protecting her child, because here's the thing, when it comes to black boys, they pretty much want black men. They train black men to be one of three things. They either want you to grow up and still remain a child. They want you to be feminine/gay or just very weak. One of those three things. Those are the three requirements you must have in order to fit in somewhere. There, if you're in one of those three categories, there's a place for you in white America. I think that when you're not in those categories, when you claim, what I think is the rights of manhood, if you pursue that, right, you got to earn it, right? You got to fight for it. It's not hard. It's not easy. Then you're going to become competition, at which point the goal is to annihilate you and to destroy you. So I have no doubt in my mind. I think about this, right? I think about it in my own life. I can think of times where I tried to go visit a friend at a penitentiary, and they looked me up, and they would not let me go into that penitentiary to be around those black men. You would have thought I was, Al Capone or Pablo Escobar or some shit. You would have thought I had a criminal record this long. I don't have a criminal record, none of that. But the fact that I was an educated, empowered black man who's not scared of these white folks, that let them say, no, we don't want this Negro around. We don't want his books in our prison. We don't want him talking to our inmates because we don't want our men to start to feel like men and start to behave in an empowered way, right? We don't want them to be intelligent. We don't want them thinking things through and being strategic because then they're going to defeat us. So I personally think that anybody who wants that role, I think the benefits of it though is that when you are a man that kind of just stands up as a man, it's wonderful. I like it because I like knowing that my kids are proud of me. My kids are my stepkids. They can look up to me. I like being sturdy for them. I know my woman can look at me and say, look at my black man doing so great. We don't have those like band-aid conversations like, oh, come here, baby, it'll be okay. I like knowing that my parents and people or elders in the community can look at me and men like me and say, okay, he's gonna be there for us, whatever that means, right? And I believe that that's the natural role of a man. And what I feel sorry for is I feel sorry for men who were never taught that, or who were taught that if you're just polite and kind, that somehow some other man, a man just like you, is supposed to come along and save you and feed your children and protect your family. I mean, that's not natural because in the wild, when another man is feeding your woman, that other man is also making babies with your woman. Like that's his woman, that's his family. Like that, I hate saying, but it's just nature, right? So I'm like, no, I want to be the man in my house. I'll do it. like another man, seriously, like when you talk to a real man, you go to a real man's house and you say you offer to help the family. What does a real man do? A real man steps in and is like, no, we got this. Yeah. I'll go get the bread, baby. You stay. You know what I mean? Like because you're supposed to do that. So anyway, let me just shut up. I hope y'all get what I'm saying. I hope this makes sense. So anyway, all right. So let's go. Let's circle it back in. So let's finish off. I know you got stuff to do, but in terms of choosing a mate and stuff like that, let me ask you this question: if you were talking to your 27-year-old friend who was about to marry a 52-year-old man, what would you say to your 27-year-old friend?
Wow. So that's an interesting question because I could even just say my 27-year-old self. I actually got married when I was 27, not to a 52-year-old. But if I had gone that route, I would have asked what the end game was. You know how they say begin with the end in mind. I would have asked. I would ask myself like, what am I trying to accomplish here? What am I hoping to get from this relationship? Have I healed the trauma of, from my childhood, my father not being around, not having very good memories about him. When he was on his deathbed, he asked me in particular to come see him, and I didn't go because he never showed up when we were younger. Like he would always call and say, we're going to pick you up. We're going to go here. We're going to go there. We're going to do this. And he like literally would never show up. The fact that I'm named after his side chick, I mentioned that before. So I would have asked myself, have I healed from all of those things? And if I haven't, then I don't think it makes sense to get married to a 52-year-old man or really any man at that point. So I'm not just all about the brothers and how they mess up. Women, we deal with trauma. We need to heal ourselves as well. And that definitely would be where I would start, is have you dealt with those issues from your childhood?
Wow. Yeah, that's so sad. I hate hearing about it. I mean, and my biological father died last week of a heart attack.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it hasn't. I keep wondering if there's some point where I'm going to start feeling really sad about it, and it hasn't happened because there was never a void, and I know I talked to my father about it. My father at home, technically he would be my stepfather, but he's my father, and I just sort of said, I guess I thanked him and said, well, thank you for filling that void because I never felt like I was missing anything. Oh, and I did explore my biological father's life a little bit, and I always felt like, maybe I'm supposed to go and see this man and be around this man, but I just don't want to because all the reports I keep getting are unintriguing to me. A lot of them are stereotypical, drugs, prison, irresponsibility. I actually met my siblings my brother and my sister, who I actually wish I had kept talking to them. I'd like to actually catch up with them. But, you know, I felt sorry for them that they grew up in the house with this man. You know, because I asked my sister, who's very intelligent, by the way. Maybe that's what we talked for 2 hours. And I think that's why we got along, because we both think alike. And I said, so tell me, what was it like growing up in his house? And she said, well, the first thing I remember is at the age of 4, I remember saying, my daddy's a bum. And I thought, what fucking 4-year-old is saying that about their father, you know? And so I think that what makes me very sad, and I can't even blame my father or your father completely for who they were, in the sense that, you know, we have a society, and sometimes not everybody can overcome all that. Nobody can not everybody can outsmart white supremacy, right? You know, but it's just kind of like, I almost want to apologize to every child whose father doesn't do the basic shit. You know, like the basic things, like if you say you're going, and this is me talking to the men out here too. If you tell your child you're gonna get there Thursday at 8 o'clock, please show up at Thursday at 8 o'clock. You know, I mean, just that is an important commitment. Show up as if you're showing up to, you know, because a woman promised you a piece of ass. Because they'll show up for that, right? If she said get here Thursday at 8 o'clock, I'm serving ass at 8 o'clock.
Hey, no comment.
right. He gonna be there for that.
He gonna be there.
And so to me, it's kind of like, I think just basic things like that, you know. So when my son and I talk, and he's not my biological son, but I changed his diapers, and I was there when he was born and all that, and he works with me now, and we talk a lot about, you know, the basics of manhood. And it's not so much about saying, oh, you got to be filthy rich and you have to always win, you know, be successful at everything you do. You always got to win. It's about little basic things like, look, you're a man. Your word should be gold. Like your word has to be your bond. When you tell somebody you're going to do something, do it, because you don't want, because the problem with our community is that we have too many fast talking Negroes out here telling it, you know, a million lies a minute, who will say anything to get into your head and manipulate you, and then will disappear, go ghost on you, not follow through, not show up, or whatever. And that's not a sturdy community, right? So to me, I just say this to the black men, it doesn't cost you a whole lot of money to just have basic integrity and to just be honorable. Just, you know, if I tell you I'm gonna do something at 5 o'clock tomorrow, I do it. And if I can't make it, then I let you know. I talk to you about it, or we work it out, or we figure it out. If I tell you I'm gonna pay you your money back Tuesday, I pay you back. If I can't, I at least communicate with you. And but then remember too, you know, this doesn't let women off the hook either. And I'm sure you would agree that I think that there's something to be said about the fact that we're in this struggle together as black people. We've all gone through this nonsense. And you know as well as I do, Danielle, there's some crazy ass black women out here too, you know. And so I really
no comment.
Right, you know what I'm talking about. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I hope y'all agree. I hope y'all agree that crazy does not just limit itself to one gender, right? You know, and I think that just sort of the basic things that the basic tenets of womanhood. I've seen some situations where I felt women came up short of that, right? You know, because again, they're being influenced, you know, by whether it's the Cardi B stuff that's being, you know, pushed throughout the world, or, you know, whatever white feminists are telling them about men being trash and garbage, you know, whatever, right? You know, so it's a balancing act.
Or I would also say, Dr. Boyce, accepting less than and not saying anything about it. There's an attorney in Chicago, attorney Ernest Fenton. He talks a lot about relationships. And he said that, you know, a lot of women are guilty of raising grown men, you know, in terms of being in a relationship with them, as far as, you know, just kind of wearing the pants and making all decisions. And so when you do that and you become an enabler, you have a responsibility, and you are liable as well for the outcome, because men didn't, I mean, like you said, we're all in this together, we're all affected in different ways, but men can't, I think most men at their core, if they are asked to rise to a higher standard, for their woman or for their relationship, for their family, I think they'll do it. It's kind of like my son who's only 7, but his father, he goes to levels much higher for his father than he will for me, but his father demands it of him. And I don't. And I know that that's not the right thing to say or do, but it's very difficult for me to treat him in the way that that his father does. But that's why you need both parents. So I think it's the same thing with relationships. Like we got to stop accepting bullshit and start demanding more. And if we don't get it, then just walk away.
Yeah, well, I think that's true. But I also think I would have to say that I think that when we talk about legitimate shortcomings of black men or black women, I think that when I think about those shortcomings, I can't say that the only shortcoming of the black woman is that she accepts bullshit from black men, right?
No, I'm
Right?
not saying
No,
that,
no,
Doctor.
no, I know you're not. I know, and I don't think you're saying that at all, right? But I think we have to really be careful about that.
Yes.
We wouldn't want it to sound like we're saying, well, it almost sounds like I had a cousin actually who used to beat his wife, and I remember like it was terrible, right? He was literally was running from the cops, and the cops was chasing him all that. And I said, what did you learn from this situation? And you know what he said? He said, I learned that I gotta find women that are more trustworthy, know how to keep their mouth shut. Like so that was the only flaw he could find in his logic. It's like not that you beat her upside the fucking head, right?
Right.
Like no, it's like I need to find women who are more loyal, right? No.
Right.
So my point on that is to say that what my theory now, mind you, I am not an expert on this. I am married a relationship therapist, but y'all be amazed at the fact that it ain't as wonderful as it may sound like it is. But but my theory on relationships of any kind, not just marriage, but business, friendships, whatever, is that you don't accept a consistent lower standard. You don't want to sell yourself short, but you should actually expand your capacity for some levels of bullshit. Not consistent bullshit, not consistent horrible disrespect, but I think that at least I know, at least this is what I've concluded, right? I've concluded that if I love that black woman I'm going to marry, I've got to accept the fact that there are going to be areas where she comes up short, and sometimes
Yes.
maybe consistently because that may be just a flaw in who she is,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's where it's kind of like it's a tough decision, right? Because you got to figure out like what's the critical mass of bullshit, right? Like, okay, are you messing up every now and then, like 20% of the time, 10% of the time, or are you messing up 80% of the time, right?
Right.
But I really think that a person want to be cautious about spending their lives looking for the person who never fucks up, who never comes up short, who is adequate in every single category. Because that person don't exist. I ain't found a woman like that yet. It's like you move from you one relationship's over, you start another one, and you're like, oh, I'm just so great. This person doesn't have that flaw, but then they got a whole new set of shit that you got to figure out and negotiate. That makes you say, damn, I didn't know how good I had it over here. I don't know. Does anybody get what I'm saying? I don't know if you guys.
I agree with that, Dr. Boyce. I think what I would sum that up by saying that that's one of the things that's probably missing from marriage these days, and why it's so people get in and get out so easily is because people fail to realize that marriage is being able to consistently forgive and forget to infinity over and over and over and over. Like that's what marriage is. And most of us, I think most people who get married or have gotten married like recently just aren't aware of that. Like you always forgetting, because people are always messing up, and you're always messing up as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That is so true. If you hold grudges, don't get married. That shit
Well,
is.
I'm a Scorpio, so I'm kind of, and I come from a family of holding grudges. I've recently gotten rid of that, but that's why I didn't go see my father on his deathbed, because I was 16. I remember 16 years of his ass lying. I was like, you know what, you'll be all right. So.
Well, actually for that one, I don't feel. I guess maybe I'm biased because my father passed and he had his funeral. I didn't feel like I had to be there. It wasn't anything personal. It was just like I got things to do. You had things to do. I got things to do. It's all good. As long as we both know what it is. And he didn't ask me to come. He never tried to guilt trip me. What I don't like is when parents will fuck up their whole life, and then when they get old and tired, they start guilt tripping their kids. Like, oh, you gotta come see your daddy. You gotta do. No, you don't. I mean, daddy. That's why daddies, all the parents out here, mommies and daddies, be good to your kids while you're young and healthy, because when you get old and you're not healthy anymore, all that karma is gonna come back to your ass.
They remember.
Karma does not lose an address. Karma will always find you. It will find you wherever you at. Okay, so really with with kids, I mean, just from talking about, since we talk about investing and things like that, it's like I've always realized that children are a huge investment. How you treat children when they're young plays out big time in terms of how they treat you when you become the childlike person in the house. Like you're 80 years old and you need help, whether they're there for you or not there for you is going to depend on how you treated them 40 years earlier. It is what it is. So, all right. Well, thank you for this great conversation, Danielle.
Thank you.
This has been fun. I hope you guys can give Danielle a digital round of applause. Thank her for her time. This is Danielle Pierce. She's a real estate expert and a financial genius, and she runs a platform called economicelevation.com. That's economicelevation.com. Her class, what's the program? 35 ways to make
an extra $1,000 a month. It's great for the holidays that are coming up, and it's also good to stack that money to do things like pay off student loans earlier, or to simply just save money to do other types of real estate investments.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a big one. Actually, Julian Gordon talks about this a lot too, where he says, rather than using your job to pay off your student loans, or you go ahead and take that money, invest in an asset that'll pay your loans off for you, right? So you got $5,000 you can put towards your loans, or $5,000 over the course of a year or whatever. Why not put that $5,000 to into an asset or some sort of skill that will help you make extra money, and then you put the extra money toward your student loans, and then you can keep your same lifestyle and still chop down the debt. That's the best way to knock out debt that I found is learn to get multiple streams of income.
Yeah, get more money. Yeah.
Yeah, the economy is boring. Just today they released. Just today the stock market. Did you stock? Are you on a lot of stock, Danielle?
I have about 6 that I own individually, and I have a mutual fund I invest in as well. But yeah, I didn't even look. I know the last time I looked, everything was just red, so I just closed out the app and was like, all right, well, this is a shitty day.
Oh, today, whatever the opposite of a shitty day is, that was what today was. Today,
really?
Yes, today was off the chain because they released the jobs report, and y'all talk all day about Donald Trump and all that. Whatever you think about that, I don't care. This economy is roaring. Like they have had 12 straight years of economic growth. I don't think they've had that since like World War II or before, right? And so the economy's doing great. The market took off. My portfolio was like, pow, I was like, this is great, making money. I don't even have to work for it, So I encourage you guys to just, I know that we talk about racism, we talk about the challenges that are out here in the world, but there are also a lot of opportunities. So I encourage you just, think outside the box, find those opportunities, and that'll put your family in a better position. So feel free to go to economicelevation.com. That's Danielle's platform. Also, don't forget, if you live in the Chicagoland area, you want to come to the space tournament, you can go to drboycechicago.com. That's drboycechicago.com. And we're out of here, guys. So hit the thumbs up button. If you haven't done it yet, please hit the thumbs up button, notification bell. If you're on Facebook, please share it to your page. We'll see you guys soon. Have a good day. Thanks a lot, Danielle. Looks like she froze. Oh, there she is. Thanks a lot, Danielle.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye. Thanks, Dr. Boyce. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.